in the heart of a quaint suburban neighborhood. The golden rays of the morning sun broke through the curtains of a modest home that had been filled with laughter, love, and the wisdom of decades. It was a house that had witnessed countless family gatherings, holidays, and heartfelt conversations. But today, it stood shrouded in a somber stillness as news spread swiftly of the passing of Beatrice Thompson, an elderly woman who had become a pillar of strength for her family and an inspiration to her community. As family and friends trickled through the front door, their faces reflected a mixture of grief and respect for the woman who had touched so many lives. Beatrice was known for her indomitable spirit. She had weathered storms in her life, raised 3 children with unwavering dedication, and always found time to help her neighbors. Her gentle smile and wise words left a lasting impact on everyone who had the privilege to know her. Among the well-wishers stood her 2 younger children, Peter and Sophia Thompson. The siblings exchanged glances, their minds racing with thoughts that seemed to prioritize the material over the emotional. They whispered about the potential inheritance they might receive, the sums of money that could finally solve their financial struggles. In their eyes, their mother's death was less about loss and more about the opportunity that awaited them. Peter, the more brash of the 2, was quick to dismiss the solemnity of the moment. "Honestly, it's about time we figured out what she left us," he muttered to Sophia, who nodded, her expression betraying a mix of greed and entitlement. They both knew Beatrice had worked hard all her life, and they were eager to claim what they believed was rightfully theirs. But in the background, Lucas Thompson, the eldest sibling, stood apart. He arrived late, his heart heavy with the weight of sorrow. While Peter and Sophia bickered about the inheritance, he couldn't help but reflect on the countless lessons his mother had imparted throughout their childhood. Beatrice had taught him that real wealth came from love, kindness, and the connections we share with others. Today, however, he sensed that those teachings were about to be put to the test. As he entered the house, he was enveloped by a wave of nostalgia. The aroma of Beatrice's famous apple pie still lingered in the air, a reminder of the warmth that had once radiated in every corner of their home. He paused to look at the photos lining the walls, snapshots of birthdays, holidays, and ordinary days filled with laughter. Each image told a story of resilience and family bonds, and yet he felt a pang of sadness at the thought that this was the last time they would gather in this way. The family gathered in the living room, where the lawyer, Mr. Harrison, awaited them. He adjusted his glasses and glanced over the notes as he prepared to read Beatrice's will. Lucas took a seat, his expression somber, while Peter and Sophia fidgeted impatiently, casting furtive glances around the room filled with other mourners. The atmosphere was charged, a complex blend of grief, anticipation, and underlying tension. As Mr. Harrison began to read Beatrice's final words, Lucas felt a swell of emotions rise within him. He clung to the thought that perhaps their mother had one last lesson to impart. The murmurs in the room faded as the lawyer's voice echoed the sentiments Beatrice had penned months before, a heartfelt reflection on her life, her values, and what she truly wished for her children following her passing. With each word, a sense of foreboding settled over Lucas. He realized that this reading was just the beginning of the journey they would take, one that would define not only their relationship with their mother's legacy, but also with each other. The void Beatrice left behind felt more profound than ever, and as the challenges ahead were revealed, he braced himself, ready to navigate the road that lay ahead. Little did he know, this would not just be a test of inheritance, but a test of heart, a chance to honor a legacy that transcended mere fortune. The air was thick with anticipation as the lawyer, Mr. Harrison, adjusted his tie and cleared his throat, drawing the attention of everyone in the cramped living room. The dim light from a nearby window filtered through the heavy curtains, casting soft shadows that danced across the somber faces of those gathered. Lucas sat upright, a growing sense of dread churning in his stomach, while Peter crossed his arms in defiance. Sophia, ever the dramatic one, tapped her foot impatiently, glancing at her brother with a mix of annoyance and entitlement. With unwavering professionalism, Mr. Harrison lifted a folded piece of paper, the will that had the power to alter the trajectory of their lives. Thank you all for being here today to honor Beatrice Thompson, he began, his voice steady yet tinged with a hint of sadness. As you know, her passing has left a significant void in this family and the community she loved deeply. However, she has left behind a carefully considered will that reflects her values and hopes for your futures. Peter and Sophia exchanged skeptical looks, bewildered that their mother would have any thoughts beyond the usual distributions. Just give us what she left us, Peter muttered, his impatience bubbling over. Lucas shot him a sharp look, urging him to remain respectful. Mr. Harrison cleared his throat once more, then began to read, detailing the heartfelt sentiments penned by Beatrice. She spoke of her love for each of them, the dreams she had nurtured for her children, and her desire for them to choose paths of growth and character rather than choosing material wealth. Lucas felt a lump form in his throat as he recalled his mother's unwavering support during his toughest moments. But as the will unfolded, everything shifted. In lieu of a straightforward inheritance, Mr. Harrison continued, I have been instructed by Beatrice to implement a series of challenges for each of you to undertake. The substantial asset she leaves behind will be awarded to the sibling who successfully completes these challenges, which are designed to test courage, intelligence, and decision-making. The room fell silent. Confusion and outrage contorted Peter's face. Challenges? What kind of ridiculous insult is this? He spat, his anger rising. Sophia chimed in. Is she serious? After all we've done for her, we have to play some twisted game to get what's ours. From his seat, Lucas felt the weight of their mother's intentions begin to sink in. He understood that Beatrice had never been one to embrace simplicity, and she had always believed that true worth lay in character and integrity, not mere wealth. It's what she wanted, he said softly, trying to calm the growing storm. We should respect her wishes. Respect, Sophia replied, incredulous. She's playing games with our lives. If she wanted us to have this, she should have just given it to us. This is absurd. Mr. Harrison pushed his glasses up the bridge of his nose. Each challenge will not just assess your abilities, but will also reflect the qualities that your mother valued most: resilience, wisdom, and the importance of helping one another. He looked around the room, gauging their reactions. The outcome of these challenges will determine who deserves the legacy Beatrice has built over her lifetime. Anger transformed into bewilderment as the gravity of their mother's decision began to settle in. Lucas felt a mixture of concern for Peter and Sophia, knowing how their desire for inheritance clouded their judgment. He recognized that these challenges were not merely about money or possessions, but were rooted in the fundamental qualities Beatrice believed needed to continue her legacy. What kind of challenges are we talking about? Peter asked, his voice tinged with skepticism. Is it some ridiculous obstacle course or what? Each challenge will be revealed in due time, Mr. Harrison explained. You will have the opportunity to demonstrate your strengths as individuals, as well as your understanding of what it means to carry forward your mother's legacy. An uneasy silence enveloped the room as Lucas considered the road ahead. He closed his eyes momentarily, envisioning Beatrice's gentle smile and the way she had always encouraged him and his siblings to do their best, not just for themselves, but for others. With every word they spoke, he realized that the true inheritance was not simply a matter of property or wealth. It was about character, growth, and how they could honor Beatrice's memory in their lives moving forward. In that moment, Lucas made a silent vow to himself and to his mother. He would embrace the challenges and, regardless of the outcome, strive to uphold the values that Beatrice instilled in him. As he opened his eyes, he could see the determination in his heart mirrored in some small way in his brother and sister, despite their initial outrage. The journey was about to begin, and with it came the hope that perhaps this could help mend the fractured bonds among them. Little did they know how transformative the experience would ultimately turn out to be. The following weeks passed in a blur of confusion and tension as Lucas, Peter, and Sophia adjusted to the reality of their mother's will. Each sibling had retreated into their own world, grappling with the shock of losing Beatrice and the bizarre competition that lay ahead. In the evenings, the house was filled with a heavy silence, punctuated only by the sporadic rustling of papers and the distant ticking of the clock. Lucas found himself haunted by dreams that felt like echoes of his mother's voice, urging him to make the right choices. At last, the day of the first challenge dawned. A buzz of nervous energy enveloped the Thompson home as the siblings gathered in the living room once more, their expressions ranging from apprehension to determination. Expectation hung thick in the air, and Lucas felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Each of them had studied their mother's words, but the uncertainty surrounding the challenge's nature made it nearly unbearable. Mr. Harrison arrived punctually at 10 a.m., a rare smile gracing his normally serious face. He held an envelope that bore Beatrice's floral insignia, an emblem she often used to sign her letters. "Good morning, everyone. Are you ready to begin?" His voice was a blend of warmth and authority that managed to cut through the tension. Peter leaned forward in his seat, a hint of bravado creeping into his demeanor. "Let's get this over with. What's the first challenge?" "Patience, Peter," Lucas cautioned, casting a sideways glance at his brother. "We can't rush this. Mom wanted us to take it seriously." Mr. Harrison opened the envelope and unfolded the contents. "Your mother has carefully devised this first challenge to test your understanding of community, something she held dear. Welcome to the Giving Challenge. Each of you will have 1 month to make a positive impact in the community, and you'll need to document your efforts." Sophia scoffed, clearly unimpressed. "Is that it? We're supposed to go out there and play nice with everyone? What a waste of time." Lucas felt a slight sting at her dismissive words. He had always admired their mother for her commitment to helping others, and maybe this challenge was her way of reminding them of the importance of connection and empathy. "It's not just about that, Sophia. It's about truly engaging with the people and understanding what they need. Mom wanted to see us use our privileges to make a change." Mr. Harrison continued reading. "At the end of the month, you will present your findings and accomplishments. The sibling whose project demonstrates the most compassion and insight will have a significant advantage in the endgame of the inheritance." He looked around, gauging their reactions. "You may choose any form of community service, whether it's volunteer work, organizing an event, or supporting a local charity." Peter leaned back in his chair, crossing his arms defiantly. "This is nonsense. We should be able to just split our inheritance and be done with it. Why do we even have to do this?" As Peter's frustration bubbled over, Lucas felt a sense of urgency rising within him. Because Mom believed in giving back, and maybe she thought we needed a wake-up call. What if we did something great together? "Together?" Sophia echoed, arching an eyebrow. "What if I want to do my own thing?" "Yeah. What if I want to do it better than you?" Peter added, his competitive nature flaring. "That's the point," Lucas exclaimed, his voice stronger now, filled with conviction. "We should challenge ourselves, but also consider the impact we have on each other and our community. It's not just about winning. It's about honoring Mom's legacy." The tension between the siblings hung thick in the air, each of them caught between the desire for individual recognition and the need to recognize the collective power they could wield. Finally, Sophia broke the silence. "Fine. Let's do it your way. But I'm not pulling my punches. If I have to do this, I'm going all in." Peter shrugged. "I'll make sure to outshine both of you. Get ready, Lucas." "Great," Lucas replied quietly. "Let's focus on what we can do first. We have a month, and the community has needs we can address." The three siblings spent the following days brainstorming ideas, struggling to find common ground despite their various agendas. They visited schools, food banks, and local charities, trying to determine where their efforts would be most impactful. As they walked the neighborhood, Lucas felt a growing sense of purpose, yet the competitive undercurrent among them remained palpable. One afternoon, while volunteering at the local food kitchen, Lucas realized something. Despite the initial tension and reluctance, working side by side ignited a sense of kinship. They shared responsibilities, laughter, and even stories with the individuals they were helping. He could see glimpses of Beatrice in their interactions. The joy of helping reigned supreme over their previous arguments, if only for a moment. Suddenly, a young boy tapped Peter on the shoulder, breaking his concentration. "Are you helping? My mom and I don't have food to eat." The boy's eyes were wide with hope, and Lucas's heart ached at the gravity of his words. Peter knelt down, surprised by the sincerity of the moment. "Yeah, we're helping out here. You can have anything you want. We've got lots of food." "That's what this is all about," Lucas said quietly, echoing their mother's teachings. "It's about understanding and addressing real needs. We can make a difference." As the weeks slipped away, and with each passing day, the bonds binding the Thompson siblings began to shift. They exchanged ideas, encouraged one another, and developed a newfound appreciation for each other's strengths. The challenge pushed them to communicate, collaborate, and confront both their differences and similarities. Finally, as the month neared its end, each sibling prepared for a presentation that would unveil their respective projects. Lucas felt a sense of accomplishment swell within him, mixed with nervous anticipation. For Lucas, it wasn't just about the challenge anymore. It was about understanding the essence of their mother's message, a lesson about unity and compassion that transcended any material wealth. On the day of the presentations, the atmosphere was electric. Lucas stood with his siblings, ready to share their collective experiences. In that moment, he felt the spirit of Beatrice swirling around them, recognizing that this was far more than a simple competition. It was about connection, family, and the emotions that molded their identities. As he took a deep breath, feeling the weight of their journey on his shoulders, he knew he would honor his mother's legacy, no matter what the outcome might be. Together, they would emerge from this challenge transformed, not just as individuals, but as siblings learning to embrace the fragility and strength of their shared experiences. The day of the presentations arrived with a crispness in the air that seemed to invigorate Lucas as he stood nervously in front of the family's gathered friends and the small community team that had supported them. The living room, which used to echo with laughter and warmth, now felt different, a stage set for both vulnerability and reflection. Beatrice's photographs adorned the mantel, her smiling face a reminder of the legacy that inspired and anchored this gathering. Lucas glanced at Peter and Sophia, both of whom were pacing near the fireplace, shadows of apprehension etched on their faces. Despite the bickering that had marked the past few weeks, he sensed a shift in the air, an unspoken understanding that they were united in this moment. Each of them had poured their heart into the project, each story intertwined in a tapestry that showcased their growth. "Let's start with you, Lucas," Mr. Harrison suggested, a hint of encouraging warmth in his voice. "You seem particularly passionate throughout this process." Taking a deep breath, Lucas stepped forward, his heart racing. He had spent hours crafting his speech, hoping to convey not only their experiences, but also the profound lessons embedded within them. The laughter shared with the local kids at the food kitchen, the way they organized a game day at the community center, and the sincere gratitude received from the food bank clients filled his mind. "Good afternoon, everyone," Lucas began, his voice steadying as he focused on the faces before him. "Over the past month, each of us sought to explore what it meant to give back, something our mom held so deeply in her heart." He paused, catching sight of Beatrice's portrait, and a surge of emotion flowed through him. "My project was focused on children," he continued, "particularly those who face food insecurity in our neighborhood. I reached out to a local school and organized a weekly cooking class where we taught kids how to prepare nutritious meals. It wasn't just about teaching them to cook. It was about instilling self-confidence and providing them with vital skills." He glanced around the room, catching Sophia's eye, and saw a flicker of pride there. "Together, we also organized a pantry drive, collecting food donations from the community to stock the school's food pantry and ensure every child has access to meals, especially on weekends. I learned that it's crucial to not just address immediate needs, but to empower these kids to thrive beyond that." As he concluded, Lucas felt a swell of warmth in the room, and a few heads nodded appreciatively. He stepped back, a sigh of relief escaping him. Sophia joined him next, her expression stern but determined. "I know I have my moments," she began, crossing her arms defensively. But my journey was focused on mental health, which is often overlooked in our community. With pointed energy, Sophia shared how she partnered with local therapists to offer free workshops focused on mindfulness and emotional resilience. I organized events at the community center where we introduced techniques for managing anxiety and stress. We had over 50 participants, and more importantly, we've created follow-up support groups that will keep meeting even after the classes end. Her eyes glinted, and there was an underlying warmth in her voice as she added, "During this process, I've also come to appreciate the importance of connection. My siblings have been here every step of the way, even when I didn't make it easy." Lucas smiled as he watched the tension begin to lift from Sophia's shoulders, the weight of their shared experiences rooted in a deeper understanding of one another. Then it was Peter's turn. He shuffled forward, visibly nervous, and Lucas felt an unexpected surge of encouragement for his brother. Well, while they focused on kids and emotions, I decided to do something a bit different. Peter cleared his throat. I wanted to tackle the issue of homelessness, which is all around us but often swept under the rug. Lucas could see the passion igniting in Peter's eyes as he shared his project. A series of fundraising events paired with awareness campaigns aimed at creating a dialogue about homelessness in their town. I set up a charity run, and we got over 100 participants. Along with that, I partnered with a local organization to provide hygiene kits and essential goods to those in need. It didn't just raise money. It opened up conversations. There was a moment of silence as Peter finished, and Lucas could see the room processing the weight of the challenges they'd faced. Each sibling's project reflected different aspects of their mother's legacy, each echoing compassion, resilience, and the intrinsic connectivity within a community. "Fantastic presentations, everyone," Mr. Harrison exclaimed, clapping his hands together. "You've all shown remarkable creativity and commitment to honoring Beatrice's memory." As the applause filled the air, a wave of pride surged through them. Despite the underlying competition, Lucas felt that they had all emerged stronger, not just as siblings competing for an inheritance, but as individuals transformed by embracing their mother's values. When the clapping subsided, Mr. Harrison stood again. "The next stage will determine the next challenge, and who will receive the advantage moving forward. But I must say, I'm genuinely impressed by the strength of your projects. This has revealed something even more important than what your mother initially intended: your growth and connection." Lucas caught Sophia's eye, and she smiled softly at him. For the first time, he truly felt they were on the same path, the barriers that had once divided them slowly crumbling away. He wondered what would come next, what challenges lay in store and how they might face them together, united in their shared experiences and commitment to honoring Beatrice's legacy. After the presentations wrapped up, their close family friends shared heartfelt stories about Beatrice and the differences she had made in their lives. As the room filled with shared laughter and nostalgia, Lucas felt the beauty of that connection running deep. A reminder that legacy wasn't just about material wealth, but the bonds and love that continued to flourish long after someone had gone. As the evening came to an end, Mr. Harrison stood up. "Each of you has displayed remarkable potential and insight, but remember, the most genuine inheritance your mother hoped to pass on was the strength of family and the importance of community. I hope this experience will echo beyond these walls." With a twinkle of mischief in his gaze, he added, "Now, let's find out what the next challenge entails. I suspect you'll need that newfound bond of sibling unity more than ever." As they gathered together, the weight of the unknown loomed before them, but Lucas felt a renewed sense of hope. Whatever lay ahead, they were ready to face it, not just as individuals competing for a legacy, but as a family capable of overcoming obstacles together, learning from one another, and nurturing the very spirit that Beatrice had instilled in each of them. The following morning, the sun broke through the fog, casting a golden hue over the Thompson family's quaint home, which now buzzed with a nervous energy as they prepared for the next phase of the challenge. Lucas, Peter, and Sophia huddled around the kitchen table, each nursing a cup of coffee, the air thick with anticipation. Their mother's absence was palpable, but the bonds they forged during the last presentations filled the space with newfound hope. "Mr. Harrison said there would be a surprise waiting for us today," Lucas said, his voice steady despite the nervousness that fluttered in his stomach. "Yeah, a surprise," Peter echoed, dragging his fingers through his hair. The last one was a doozy. Their competitive spirits had ignited during their individual projects, and although they had grown closer, the thrill of the challenge hung in the air, reminding them of the stakes. Just then, there was a knock at the door. Lucas's heart raced as he exchanged glances with his siblings. "I guess that's our mystery guest," Sophia said, her voice barely concealing an excited tremor. Lucas opened the door to find Mr. Harrison, beaming with enthusiasm. He carried a large envelope stamped with the family crest, all but still retaining a faint glimmer of their mother's cherished ideals. "Good morning, Thompson family," he declared, his eyes twinkling with excitement. "Are you ready for your next challenge?" The siblings nodded, a mix of eagerness and anxiety swirling between them. Mr. Harrison unfolded the envelope, pulling out a gleaming piece of paper filled with the details of what was to come. "This next challenge is about collaboration and community," he explained, scanning the details. "You will each form teams with local organizations and implement a project that benefits the community on a larger scale. The twist? You need to work together with the organizations, combining your ideas to create something cohesive." "The community?" Sophia questioned, perplexed. "How are we supposed to collaborate and compete at the same time?" "That's the beauty of it," Mr. Harrison chuckled. "You will have to learn to navigate your combined strengths, to understand each other's perspectives, and to harness your collective passion towards a single cause. You'll end up presenting the results together at the end of the month." The siblings glanced at one another, the weight of collaboration looming large. Lucas could sense the apprehension in Peter's furrowed brow as he tried to process what that meant for their dynamic. "What if we don't agree?" Peter asked thoughtfully. "Exactly. Finding common ground is the key to this challenge. The essence of community is rooted in compromise and understanding," Mr. Harrison replied, his tone serious but encouraging. "You'll need to reach out to local organizations today and submit your project outlines by week's end. Work as a team, but remember your mother's lessons. Approach this with empathy." With that, Mr. Harrison left them to contemplate the upcoming journey ahead. The siblings sat at the table once more, digesting the news. "This is different," Lucas said after a moment, breaking the silence. "We'll need to really listen to each other if we want it to work." "I agree," Sophia chimed in, her brow knitting together in concentration. "Maybe we should brainstorm collectively from the start. If we can outline what we care about, we might find a way to merge our ideas." "I like that, but let's be realistic. There will still be friction," Peter sighed, leaning back in his chair. "We can't just wave a magic wand and solve everything." Lucas leaned forward, looking intently at his siblings. "We've already begun to change, even if just a little. Let's take what we learned from the last challenge and build on that. We might have differences, but we also have a common goal: honoring Mom. We can do this, no matter how messy it gets." Sophia nodded slowly, her confidence building. "Okay, let's each write down our preferred organizations to partner with, along with our ideas, and then we can see how to converge them into something impactful." As they began to jot down notes, Lucas felt a flicker of excitement igniting within him. The prospect of collaborating with others to create something significant for their community felt invigorating. It signified a departure from their previous competitive mindset. Later that afternoon, the siblings divided and conquered, each reaching out to potential local organizations. Lucas contacted the school where he had forged connections, hoping to partner with them again. Sophia reached out to local mental health clinics, while Peter made inquiries with a nearby shelter providing services to the homeless. After several hours of calls and emails, their individual outreach bore fruit. They arranged meetings with the local food bank, a mental health support nonprofit, and a community center known for hosting events aimed at empowering individuals facing various challenges. That evening, they reconvened to share what they'd learned. Lucas's voice was animated as he described the potential partnership with the school, where they could implement a community garden to teach children about nutrition and sustainability. It ties in with Sophia's focus on mental health, he suggested excitedly. Gardening has known therapeutic effects, and we could incorporate mindfulness sessions where they can connect with the earth, engage in creative activities, and learn about mental resilience. Sophia grinned, eyes sparkling with interest. Yes, that's perfect. We could also invite local therapists to conduct workshops during harvest season, teaching kids about nutrition while also providing them insights into emotional well-being. Peter nodded thoughtfully, tapping his fingers on the table. And of course, we could use the produce grown to create meal packs for the food bank. It ties all three of our ideas together: awareness about nutrition, mental health, and food insecurity. The siblings leaned back, taking in the moment, a wave of motivation sweeping through them. They were beginning to blend their individual passions into something powerful, a cause they could all rally behind, rooted in compassion and community. "This is fantastic," Lucas said, a sense of hope washing over him. "I feel like we're genuinely creating something that could have a lasting impact. It's a way to honor Mom together." As the days unfolded, the siblings worked diligently, balancing school, their individual lives, and the excitement of the project. They organized meetings with their respective contacted organizations to solidify timelines, gather resources, and build a unified plan. They faced challenges along the way. Sophia and Peter clashed over certain methods of outreach, while Lucas struggled to juggle his enthusiasm with the various opinions coming from both siblings. Yet through it all, they leaned on the lessons they had learned during their previous challenge. They listened, compromised, and ultimately grew. One afternoon, while digging through ideas at the community center, they stumbled upon a significant realization. Lucas came up with a slogan for their project, something simple but profound: growing together, sowing seeds of support. As weeks went by, the project blossomed. They launched a community garden in a shared partnership with the school, incorporated a mental health awareness day at the community center, and created events around harvesting and distributing the produce to those who needed it most. You could feel the momentum building. The collaboration ignited enthusiasm not only in themselves, but amongst each organization involved. Each child that participated, each family who received a meal pack, and each individual who learned alongside them became part of their narrative. As the month drew to a close, the day of the final presentation loomed ahead. Internally, Lucas felt anxious yet excited. They had poured their hearts into their venture and were eager to share it with their family, friends, and community. On the night of the presentation, a sense of nervous anticipation saturated the air. Surrounded by friends and supporters, each sibling took a turn to speak about their journey, their learning experiences, and the collective impact they had made. When it was Lucas's turn, he deeply inhaled, looking out at the audience that felt like family. What we created was far more than just a project. It was about how we, as a family, learned to navigate our challenges together, finding strength in our unity. We discovered that healing happens when we allow ourselves to come together, listening to one another and investing in shared futures. When they finished, the applause echoed warmly in their ears, but it was the shared smiles and pride reflecting from their peers that truly lifted their spirits. The Thompson siblings had come far, embracing the journey of collaboration, transforming competition into connection while honoring the very legacy that sparked their transformative journey. The weight of their mother's lessons hung in the air, binding them together as they felt her presence, encouraging them, urging them to carry this newly forged connection into their lives beyond the challenge. They didn't just embrace their differences, but learned to grow from them, realizing the most profound impact lay not in their individual achievements, but in their collective strength. The morning after the presentation, a quiet reverence enveloped the Thompson home. Lucas, Peter, and Sophia walked through the remnants of last night's festivities, the echoes of laughter and applause still resonating in their minds. They had done something remarkable, something that honored their mother while also solidifying their bond as siblings. Yet, as they cleared away the decorations and dishes, Lucas couldn't shake a growing unease. Though the project had united them, he sensed the churning of unresolved emotions settling beneath the surface, creating ripples in their previously harmonious dynamic. "Do you guys feel it too?" Lucas asked, folding a banner printed with their slogan. "I can't help but wonder if there's more we need to address." Peter looked up, his brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" "I just feel like we've focused so much on the project and the competition that we haven't really talked about what we went through after Mom passed," Lucas replied. "There are so many feelings that are still unspoken." Sophia set down a cup, her expression contemplative. "I think you might be right. We've been moving so fast. And even though we've grown closer, I feel like we haven't processed everything together. It's like we put a bunch of threads in a tapestry but haven't woven them together." A silence lingered, a tangible weight of potential conversation hanging between them. Lucas glanced at the family photos lining the walls, moments frozen in time that told their story of love and laughter before tragedy struck. He felt a twinge of sadness paired with an urge for catharsis. "Maybe we should have a family night," he proposed, breaking the silence. "Just the three of us. We can talk about everything, our feelings about Mom, the project, and anything else we haven't discussed." Peter hesitated, his fingers absent-mindedly drumming on the table. "I don't know, man. Talking about our feelings doesn't always end well." "But ignoring it doesn't help either," Sophia interjected gently. "We need to unpack this. It's okay to be vulnerable with each other. Mom always encouraged us to communicate." With a heavy sigh, Peter finally nodded. "Okay, I'll give it a shot." Lucas felt a rush of relief wash over him. "Great. Let's plan it for tonight. We can make some of Mom's favorite snacks and set up the living room for a cozy chat." As evening descended, the Thompson home transformed into a haven of warmth and comfort. They prepared popcorn sprinkled with salt and melted butter, one of their mother's go-to comforts, and arranged blankets and pillows around the living room, creating a nest-like atmosphere. Settling down, the siblings instinctively gravitated closer to one another. The initial banter faded into stillness, but Lucas could feel the tension in the air. "I'll start," Lucas said, clearing his throat. "It's been nearly 2 years since Mom passed away, but sometimes it feels like just yesterday. I still miss her every day. And while I think we've grown, I find myself grappling with her absence more than I expected." Peter shifted uncomfortably, but met Lucas's gaze. "I miss her too, but I've also been wrestling with my memories. In a way, I think I've kept her alive in my mind, and I wonder if that's healthy. I catch myself picturing moments we had together during our family trips. Everything feels so sharp, but then I feel guilty for being happy when I know she's gone." "I feel that too," Sophia chimed in softly. "Some days I can barely think about her without feeling overwhelmed, and other times I find myself smiling at a memory. It feels like I'm being pulled in 2 directions. I want to honor her memory, but it's tough when it changes how I feel." The floodgates slowly opened as they started sharing their experiences, their words pouring out amidst tears and laughter, memories awakening alongside their shared grief. As they spoke, each sibling breathed life into the unarticulated emotions dangling between them, painting over the tapestry of their lives that had long been neglected. "I feel so much pressure to live up to the legacy of someone who was so incredible," Lucas admitted, wiping away tears as he spoke. "Every project we worked on felt like a competition of who could be the best version of what she loved. It's scary, like I'm afraid I'll fail her." Peter nodded, his expression more muted than before. "I get that. I always thought if I excelled, it would somehow make her proud, but then I realized I was just pushing myself further away from what I truly wanted. I kept chasing those external validations." Sophia watched her brothers with empathy. What if we reframed it? Instead of striving for her approval, what if we found ways to make her proud through our personal journeys rather than becoming what we think she would want? Mom wanted us to be happy and true to ourselves. "Exactly," Lucas said, his heart swelling with pride for his sister. She believed in us pursuing our own paths, and while it's okay to remember her, we can't let that overshadow who we are. As the conversation progressed, their feelings of isolation began to dissipate. Each story shared brought them closer and unveiled layers of understanding. They cried, laughed, vented their frustrations, and ultimately found peace in their shared sorrow food-stained notes on their lives. After hours of heartfelt exchange, Lucas leaned back against the couch, envisioning the tapestry they were weaving anew, one that interwove the raw threads of sadness, aspirations, love, and resilience. "This feels so freeing," Lucas confessed. "I want us to keep talking, keep sharing. Our voices deserve to be heard. We shouldn't carry this burden or honor our mother's memory alone." Peter looked at his brothers, his demeanor lighter. "You're right. I'd like that. I want to understand how you guys feel, and I want to express my own emotions more. Maybe it's what Mom would have wanted for us." With a warm smile, Sophia nodded. "Let's promise to check in on each other more often, to carve out time, not just for projects but for ourselves. We can be each other's support and the safe space we've always needed." As they began discussing more practical ways to implement their newfound commitment to open communication, the evening shifted from an obstacle of past hurt to a celebration of their shared love and resilience. With the night stretching onward and laughter ringing in the air once more, the Thompson siblings found themselves stitched together, no longer feeling the burden of their grief alone, but rather carrying it with strength, gratitude, and perspective. The chapter of their lives that once felt painful began to shift, transforming into a journey of growth, a reimagined tapestry filled with love, understanding, and the ever-looming presence of their mother's unwavering spirit. It was an acknowledgement of what had been lost, but also embraced all that could still be gained together as family. As they finally settled down for the night, a comfortable silence enveloped them. The shadows of their past began retreating as new memories flickered in the air, a testament that together, they would weave a legacy built not on competition, but on love, healing, and an unbreakable bond.